What's up, Sandro? Sandro.
Either way, yeah.
When I first saw you, I wasn't sure if it's Sandro. Did people say that to you?
Yeah, there's like a kind of like a 50-50 where the Sandro or Sandro, to even people that have known me for a while, it's still kind of split down the middle. I never correct anybody because it's kind of...
It doesn't bother you at all?
Not really, because it's just like... My name itself is annoying to the person who hasn't seen it, who isn't me, who doesn't know how to pronounce it. So I get it.
Is there a story behind your name?
Is there a story behind it?
Like I'm named after X,
not really. It's from Alessandro, which my parents wanted to call me Alessandro, but the short version of that into English actually it translates to Alexander, and my parents didn't want me to be called Alex because they didn't like that sound at the end of the name, so they just shortened it to Sandro. But now it's like Sandra or Sandro, so it's kind of it. I never really,
It's never a problem. What about like when you go up and someone's introducing you? Do they ever say it or Sandro or Sandro?
Do they really just say
what do you tell them? This is how you say my name. I just know like my name Nigel. It's very particular, and sometimes people say it Nigel. It's Nigel.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
If they ask, then I will tell them. But if they don't ask, like, how do you say your name? I don't ever, I never want to, because it's like that thing is, by the way, my name is, it's fine if it's messed up. I mean,
no snobbiness there.
No, like, as of late, I've just kind of been like, all right, well, like, it's spelled this way if it comes across in that way, or I'm like, like if it's like advertisement, like we talked. This is about behind the scenes stuff. But in that situation, it's like, all right, well, this is the way. It's just to like educate, because I do like if I correct you in that way, it's because I like you. If I don't, then it's the other way around where I'm like, whatever. I don't even,
I get that.
You know what I mean? So, and plus your name is very like specific.
Yeah,
your name's like
Nigel. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you say your last name properly?
Nigel Dettelbach.
See, that's like.
There's Deaddle, whatever, and Beetle Doddle, and
you get
Bach.
Seattle Bach.
Yeah, Seattle Bach. Yeah.
They try
Seattle
to call
Bachers,
you, yeah, like they try to call you like Dadelbach Light
something or other.
Like,
It's a fun one. There's 10 letters in the name, so it's D.
It's a very powerful name.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's got the right amount of like syllables too.
Dettelbach.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Bam, bam, bam.
Plus you got Bach. It ends with Bach.
The famous composer there.
Your last name has its own Bach.
Yeah. Nice.
So.
Yeah. So how was driving? You came from LA right now?
Mm-hmm.
How was that driving to the desert?
It wasn't bad. It's always fun. I like it. It's just cool to, like the first hour and a half, maybe the first hour getting out of LA is like, pretty much traffic and whatnot. But then once it opens up and you get to like Windmill Land, you're like, oh, I can
the
feel
clouds part.
Yeah. It's nice. You're like, oh, this is going to be, it'll be drier, but it'll be like a little calmer than LA.
Yeah, once you hit that hump and then you see the Morongo, and then you see then you're like, I'm about 30 minutes out, or depending on how fast you drive.
Yeah. That's when I know to take the mushroom.
Yeah.
When I'm about 30 minutes out.
Take them with the dinosaurs.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Did you ever go there to the Cabazon where they did the Pee Wee Herman movie and all that?
I did that once on the way out to Indio. I was doing shows at the Fantasy Springs out there. The Fantasy Springs.
The Fantasy.
One of my relatives over 50. The Fantasy Springs. We stopped there once, and it was just, it was fun just to see, just to climb on top of inside the dinosaur's head. Yeah,
they've actually painted them, and they put a gift shop in it, and they made a whole ride. It's like a whole thing now.
Yeah, I went with a comic, and he's like, let's go, and I wasn't going to pay for it because I was just like, it's cool. He's like, dude, I got you. I was like, all right, whatever. So it was fun to go around, but it was kind of, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure was still like the height of that place for me.
Yeah, Large Marge sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's classic.
Au revoir, Pee-wee.
Yeah, classic. So what was your last stand-up gig? What was your last night you had?
The last one I did, I was at the store earlier in the week.
Nice.
So it was fun. That was a cool spot.
Which room were you in on that one?
Original.
Nice.
Yeah, original room.
I was just there on Monday for the Kill Tony show.
Okay.
It was great. Ian Edwards was one of the features for however they termed the deal. He was there kind of as like the headliner for the night. It was pretty cool for Kill Tony.
Oh, he was on the show.
He was on the show. Yeah, he was there because
cool.
he played at the Hood, and then the next night was
that's right.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. But I actually I saw online that you were on Kill Tony. How was that?
That was cool. That was a lot of fun. I did that as a guest twice, and this was back still when it was in the belly room.
Yeah.
So like that was when it was like small and it was still like a lot of energy. First couple of years, and now it's huge.
So how did that all start? I know that's like Tony's thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I told Tony he's got to get his ass in gear and do something in the podcast, and he said okay. So I credit myself with the origination of, and I'm kidding about that. I don't even know Tony. No, he just basically I think. I'm not sure how the impetus start, like the beginning of it was, but he started it in the belly room, and I think it was just like doing a podcast, just with Red Band, and it was just kind of shooting the shit. They had a different name when it first started. I forgot what the name was, but I think it just kind of caught on, and they just kept doing it live from that moment. I don't know if they ever did like a recorded podcast or if it changed it that much, like the format itself. Because ever since I did it, it was always the comic doing a minute. And then the judges, going, that was funny, or, go die, something like that.
No, totally. It's a cool concept. It's like an open mic, but more entertaining, because they kind of, I mean, you had to sign up, obviously, but it could be anybody in the crowd, I think it's an awesome concept.
It's a really cool concept. Because the store used to be Sunday and Monday open mics, and then they stopped doing the Monday. So now there's like another chance to get up.
Because the Monday's the potluck. Is that what they do on the Mondays?
Monday, yeah. So now they have that. They have potluck. If they don't get a potluck, they can try to do Kill Tony.
Do you remember your first time on the Comedy Store when you performed?
Oh, yeah. I went up, and I don't know if, I had fun doing it, but I don't know if I was in a crabby mood or whatever. But I went up, and I just, the host said something about no more people freestyling, because somebody went up before me and freestyled, and it wasn't good. So I went up, and I just freestyled something stupid. And some of the comics laughed, but she didn't like me.
Do you remember the premise of your bit, or just?
Not really. I don't even know what I did.
You're just going off a whim.
I think I might have just riffed a bit.
Nice. Is that usually what you like to do, or do you usually I'm going to do this and I'm going to lead to that?
I kind of like to riff.
Yeah,
I like to riff, but I have an idea of where I'm going to go, and so ultimately it'll lead to what I'm going to talk about.
So tonight at the Hood, you're going to be performing. Do you already have are you doing a 30? Are you doing a 40, 20? What are you doing tonight? So
tonight I'm going to do a 20, 30, and 40. We're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's 3 tickets, 3 shows.
Yeah. I guess whatever the show producer who's cool enough to have me on will have me do. But let's say if I did a 30, I'd kind of have 30 minutes of material in my head, roughly, and then I kind of go up there and I like to kind of ease into what I'm going to talk about, which is I like to talk about what's happening in the room, or maybe just kind of settle into it, because it's the best whenever you feel most comfortable. Then you can kind of talk, because if you have to all of a sudden just start talking to people and you just start doing your material, or it's like jumping into a conversation, like
too cold of a start.
Yeah. But I like kind of just riffing it out, and it's cool because I feel like the audience they get involved with it too, because everything is new to you and to them. So you're walking up there what the hell? Even if you've done the place thousands of times, it's still a new night. It's still a new experience.
Definitely, especially even at the Comedy Store, where there's a rotation of people on vacation, this and that. I'm sure there's a lot of the same people, but you get fresh ears every night, so that's pretty cool. To gigging out in LA like that. Yeah,
it's cool, man. The Comedy Store is it definitely is a lot of tourists and a lot of people coming in, and it doesn't dawn on me until I'm there, and I'm like, oh wait, a lot of these people aren't from here. So that's why you can kind of go up, and I can do the same jokes I've been doing for 25 years.
Is there a certain comedy club that you have that's kind of your dingy little spot, or a hole in the wall comedy spot that you kind of like or would want to plug, or tell me something about that?
There is. I don't want to call hole in the wall or dingy, but I do love the Hood and the Palm Desert.
We take pride in that. Yeah.
So you take pride in the dingy?
Well, I mean, we're voted the best dive bar in the desert. Not that we go out of our way to make it that, right. but we have a very relaxed, vibe about what we're doing. But
when do you think that happened? When all of a sudden the dive bar became the pista resistance is what I think is what it is.
It was already established as the Hood Bar, and I came in there as the sound engineer, and then and then I became the booker after that. And I just saw the potential, and there wasn't any comedy around. I was booking bands, so I was like, why don't we do comedy? And I kept going and building these Sundays. But I just kind of leave it as is. I just control the lighting and the audio, and I let the aesthetics, kind of stay the same that way. Because if you change things too much, the locals are like, "What are you doing to our place?"
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's like my place at this point now.
Yeah.
I mean, I painted the walls and put a new stage in and speakers, but just making it nice, but not too shiny.
No, I get it. And I mean, as long as you take pride in like the dinginess or the dankness, as my favorite character on The Simpsons, Moe Szyslak, once said. But Homer, it was Homer. But Mo, the dank Mo.
That's like the funk, yeah.
Yeah.
The soul.
Exactly. Like that's the part of it that kind of makes it. You're like, oh, it's almost like in a place where you'd swear there was a fog machine going off, but it's not. That's just the essence of the room.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like that.
Roadhouse.
Yeah, exactly. You got a roadhouse in the desert.
So when you do come to the desert, you always go to the high desert. What's up there for you?
Relaxation, freedom, just kind of, chilling out.
You're used to the heat now?
I think so.
How was today?
Today was pretty hot. I wore 3 sweaters out because 100 degrees. I figured I don't like myself enough. I need to wear more sweaters, sweat some more. Yeah, dude, it's super, super hot.
What's the elevation up there?
I think it's 4,000, 5,000 feet, something like that.
Yeah. So how long have you been going up there? Because you really don't spend much time in. This is the low desert palm.
This is the low desert palm. Yeah.
But it's the high desert podcast. So
I guess, dude, I don't even know where we live any time of the day. So I think the last 3-4 years I've been going up there off and on.
No, it's like a borderline spiritual thing about that place. Like even living down there, for even the locals here, you go up there and it's different. So I only imagine people from LA what they think about that. Such a culture shock in a way.
It is, and then you can also kind of see like where, like it's super calm, but then there's also like pretty hip coffee houses where they're like, oh yeah, people from LA do come up here, so we should have our kombucha lattes.
Do you ever go to Pappy and Harriet's?
I have been there, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a great place.
Yeah, it's really cool.
A lot of history there. It used to be a biker bar back in the day, and it still kind of is. And then now it's kind of turned into more of a venue where they have set schedules of these touring acts. Paul McCartney even performed there, did a private event.
Saw that pic they had there.
They sold out in minutes.
Yeah, it's got to be insane. I mean, yeah, because they walk in, the people waiting in line, there's always 100 people waiting in line, so they'll buy tickets in a second and Paul McCartney walks in.
Yeah, that was just he was here for, I think it was Desert Trip over on the Polo Grounds where they did Coachella. They did a whole concert, and he just did like a whole guerrilla show, just showed up. And
oh, that's cool.
It was pretty awesome. I know some people that went, and I saw the photos, but the line was going down the highway. Pretty cool.
Like, wait, so he was planning to be here, or there was like
so he was playing a big concert out in India where they do the Coachella Festival.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So he was performing that, and then while he was out here, some promoter decided maybe it's a good idea, some PR thing to do it there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because to see him in this little saloon, it is an amazing venue, but it's just crazy to see a Beatle when there's literally no partition in front of,
No, you walk right outside.
Yeah.
And
so
the same
stage is right there, and yeah, but
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm a fan of music, so that's like, for me, it's pretty awesome. And I'm a fan of comedy too, but I'm not too sure if they do comedy over there, but that would be a pretty hip, cool thing if they started
I feel like
doing
that place, I think it'd be awesome if like you could get draw if people were there to see that comic, but just having a comedy night there, I feel like people really just want to like talk while they're there. Yeah. So music is perfect. So they can like be quiet with like, Paul McCartney's playing, but they're still like engaged with their conversation or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that place is great, man.
So you've been to the Hood, twice now?
Yep.
Yeah. So you've had a good time?
It's the 3rd time. Yeah, always a blast.
Nice.
Always a blast.
So I was watching your Little Italy show. It's pretty really funny, actually.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. Where did that character come from?
He's kind of... there was the creator, Adriano Valentini, who made the Little Italy, Los Angeles, basically had a character of a barber who is kind of the barber that when you go to like, he if you get a haircut, he brings out like cheeses and like cold cuts, and they drink shots or whatever, and he's always talking about the neighborhood changing and kind of whatever. So he had that in mind, and I basically kind of just did a cross between my uncle and my dad, and like what he had in mind, Adriano had in mind. So I just kind of blended 3 different like characters together of just like this really aloof weirdo who's afraid of change, because the neighborhood's changing and he's afraid that like it's gonna downplay this is an Apple store moving in and whatever. And
no, that's really awesome, because I was watching it today and I thought like this character has to be based off of a family member or something. Like it's the very precise, like it seems like it's based upon like there's inspirations from somebody.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird people that are just staunch in their beliefs.
And are you writing those because I saw it was like written by you? Is that how you guys do it, or how does the writing work?
Yeah, so we went to the part where we were basically like writing. And we were going through all the dialogue or whatever, and we just kind of punch up. So one episode I co-wrote with a friend of mine, and then the rest of it we just kind of punched up. But I was involved in like all like the auditioning process and everything, and so I got to be like pretty in and out with it. It was my first time doing anything like that. I immersed myself so much into like a project.
Is there room for improv for that kind of thing?
There is, because Adriano loves that kind of stuff. So you get the lines down, but then you can also play with it a bit. So if you do it how he wants, which is kind of great, because then you have a lot more to edit with, a lot more to play with.
That's where the magic comes from, I think. Like just with playing instruments, or just when you're like, okay, just go for it.
Yeah.
With comedy too, it's it's just the reaction.
Yeah. When you're playing off script, that means you're playing for yourself, which is like the ultimate, because that means you have the most fun. Not to say you can't have fun while you're playing scripted or anything, but. Yeah, because you just said it's like an extension of what was previously said. And
especially if you know the character so well, it's like you're already, you are the character, and that's what they would say, even if it's not on the page. That's what I even though I'm not in that industry per se, but that's what I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, music's, I feel like the same way. Like if you're playing something and you're in that rhythm, what you're playing next, unless you're specifically playing jazz, it's all going to be jazz. It's all going to be like how you extend it, how you perceive the next note to be.
Yeah, your personality shines through.
For sure.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So what's next for you? What are we doing?
I'll probably have a sip of coffee.
How's your coffee?
Delicious coffee. That was the best espresso I've had in a long time.
That was made by a real barista too.
That was
a real Italian one.
I appreciate that, and I thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, any gigs coming up?
I have a couple gigs coming up out of town, but for the most part, I'll be in LA doing local stuff and working on some projects.
What are the need to know spots out in LA?
Need to know?
Like if a comic's watching this, like what would you say you should watch a show here on this night?
I mean, any Tuesday nights at the Comedy Store with the roast battle the energy is pretty great. Any night at the Comedy Store is awesome. The Improv has great shows. There's my buddy's got a show in Silver Lake called Cityscape, which does it monthly. Cityscape, a comedy show. It's one of the best shows in town. And my buddy Dave Yates has a backyard comedy show. I feel like the independent comedy shows are really picking up.
I've noticed
they're
clips.
So much fun.
I've noticed little clips of backyard things, or maybe they're on like a little soapbox, but it seems awesome, like a cool like guerrilla style.
Yeah,
they're just do comedy, and people are there like a backyard concert for comedy.
Oh yeah.
What's that like when you get there? How organized is it?
It's pretty organized. I mean, it's pretty organized, but it's also loose. So people come in, they sit where they want. Smokers go to one side, nobody gets in each other's face. And typically, like Buddy Stretch will have like a cookout, so he'll have like barbecue going, music, DJ, and it's all outdoors, and it's usually word of mouth. But it's pretty chill, and it's not, people don't like fuck off too much. It's pretty, like you do your thing, and it's professional.
Is it generally just all comics that are there, or are there like fans or I mean, like, is it just the everyday person, or like how do they look? It's,
I'd say like for the most part with the independent shows, like the backyard shows, and I'd say it's more audience members than comics. I mean, the major clubs, they'll have more, audience members also, but like, yeah, these are people that they just support the show, or they live in the neighborhood and they stop by.
No, that's great. Yeah. So you guys they just advertise through social media? Is that how they do it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then other comics pick up on it, and then yeah, it kind of just floods throughout. Comics will always know if a show is going well because they'll be emailing out to everybody in 2 seconds.
Nice. How long have you been doing stand-up?
Be close to 11 years.
11. Do you
Probably
remember?
at
Do you
11 years.
remember what made you want to grab a mic and do that?
I never really thought I wanted to do it, and then my cousin went to go watch this comic in St. Pete Beach, Florida, and it's Coconuts Comedy Club, and I went to go watch the open mic the next week with him, and I was like, yeah, let me try this, and I've just been doing it since.
Nice. And
Yeah.
and you just met people along the way, or do you have like mentors or things like that, or you've just always been you? And
I mean, no, I've there's definitely I met some people along the way, and there's been people that have come along that have provided advice at the right time, or guidance or leadership at certain moments. Yeah, definitely. Or else I don't think I'd be able to have the confidence to say what I want to say.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, from the moment I met you, I said you were super talented, and I think you're one of you're one of my favorites, just 100%. I mean, you already know that. I'm just letting the people out there know.
No shit.
That this guy is super talented, and I recognize that.
Thank you,
I just want to man up and say that, because that's
you're a big man for saying it, and I'm a big man for taking it.
For taking it, yeah. Yeah, right.
Thank
on.
you, dude.
Yeah, right on. So let's see here. Are there any comics that are coming up that you're they should check out, these people that are watching this thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good comics coming up. Billy Bonnell, he's a really, really funny comic. I met him early on, like 7 years ago. Punky Johnson is hilarious. Yeah, there's tons of really, really funny comics. Fahim Anwar is one of those dudes where he's just getting funnier and funnier. Yeah, man, anybody at the Comedy Store you'll see during the week is just up and coming, and especially some of the newer people that just got passed. Now they get their crack at going up late night, which is so much fun, because that basically made me a much better comic, is going up late night with nobody there. You kind of have to get laughs when there's no one in the room, and when you do that, you're like, oh, okay, I think I know what to say, or I feel good about it.
How does the passing thing work? I mean, without giving away secrets, is there a certain... I'm just curious how that works. Okay, you're good now.
Yeah.
You got it. Or
basically, it's you kind of go through the open mic. The more they see you, once they see you develop, and you go through the rungs of open mic to getting development spots through the week. Basically, they just see you and you do enough for them to be all right, well, we'll give you a showcase. Or if you have, accomplished, a lot in comedy, and you're just established, and it's a no-brainer, they're okay, we're going to pass this person. We want them to perform at the club.
Does it generally work like a door guy, and then that's how it goes? Or because I know at the Comedy Store, they're all kind of... Yeah, there's... The staff is comics.
Yeah, the staff is primarily comics, yeah. It's really cool.
I don't know where else they do that besides Guitar Center, where everybody's a musician. Restaurants, the servers aren't cooks,
No, they go there specifically to do that. Especially if you work the door, or cover booth, or anything where they can put you into the rotation, and they give you spots throughout the week to work you out. But there's so many different ways to get in. I never worked there, so I hung out, and I kept going whenever I could to, until they were we're tired of seeing this guy. If we pass him, he'll be here less often. And so they put me up, and, and I don't bother anybody.
When you write things, how do you do it? Are you you already have it in your head, or you just I have one line, not comedy, but a script?
Mm-hmm. A script? I kind of have an idea of a story. If I sometimes can base a story off of one line, then I'll kind of just expound on that. But it all depends. Sometimes the story, if it's a script, it's kind of just writing as much as I can about something until I can whittle it down.
And do you type everything up, or how do you text it, or how do you?
Yeah, however I can get out of
Morse code.
Yeah. However I can get it out of here onto something that I can see in words. Yeah, I mean napkins. Now it's more talk to text, or
Well, that's cool that you're not in a position to where you have something in your head, and then you can see it manifest with the camera guys there, with the lighting, with the makeup, and it's all coming together, because the show that you're doing, it looks very well produced.
Yeah,
looks like you have a really good crew.
Yeah, they're incredible. Adriano had hooked up. So basically, he got. I was in a sketch where he was a finalist in Project Greenlight. So he hooked up with this production company, and they were the ones that were like, yeah, we like your idea. So they, funded this project so we could do 6 episodes and shoot it in a barbershop and shoot at various locations. So it was pretty dope. Like everything was like the makeup and the art department is just unbelievable.
How long does it take to
good.
get you ready for your?
I was, wasn't that far off of that belly. Actually, what's ironic is I had to lose weight to wear the belly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
what is it like? What?
Super hot.
Yeah,
it's just like
is
a bunch
of pregnant woman thing.
Yeah, it's like a bunch. It's like a bunch of like foam, but like really hot. Probably all nylon, all synthetic. But yeah, there's probably like about an hour to get everything up and running and put the suspenders on, and it's just a lot of adjusting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there any plans for like another season, or is it one and done? Because I know you guys won some awards. It looked like it was like some legit stuff. It was pretty cool. There was some like smaller film festivals and some film festivals in like at Los Angeles, and now it's like actually on the ballot for like best short form drama or comedy for like an Emmy. So which is pretty cool. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully, I'd love to do more of them.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a series that could like be picked up. I mean, I don't know how it works with independent and the whole production, whatever. If someone comes in, conglomerate.
I have no.
But
idea.
again, they could very well be like I could see that all. That's why I sent you an email. I was like, how do I see this? Because I wanted to, because it looked interesting and the whole character, and then watching your character, I'm like, this has to be based on somebody close to you because, you're Italian, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Both parents.
Both parents. Yep.
Are they straight from the boat?
Yeah. Straight from, straight off the boat.
Off the boat, yeah, from the boat.
They were born on boats.
Yeah.
And
maritime law.
Yeah. International water birth. But yeah, they're both born in Italy. I'm first generation born here, so like there's like a lot of like quirks here and there.
Yeah.
A lot of things that like growing up with immigrant parents.
Yeah.
That I kind of just like pulled from. And Adriano was the same way. Like he lives in Canada, or he's from Canada, and they have like a very like tight knit like Italian community there. So he grew up in it even more so than I did.
Yeah.
Because my parents assimilated pretty quickly to American culture, but they still argue in Italian. So. And
you went back recently. I saw your Instagram. You were like a little while ago. You were kind of like around, sightseeing and all that kind of stuff, and that's what it looked like. I mean, you're actually going back home
in Italy, or
weren't you over there a little while ago?
Yeah, I went earlier this year. It was a lot of fun. I went with my parents and my brother and his wife and my girlfriend to Sicily, where my parents are from. So that was a lot of fun. That's something I want to do again. I
think I asked you, and if I remember correctly, you said you didn't get to do any comedy or anything like that when you were there, which I mean, have you written comedy in Italian?
I haven't written in Italian, and I guess I could translate some of the jokes, but a lot of times I'd probably just be making fun of my family.
Really? Yeah.
And in like Italian, and then they would laugh at that. Hopefully, I don't know. Like it'd be interesting because they don't really speak. There's not really any like Italian speaking clubs there, unless like there's one or two in Rome or something. But like in bigger cities.
But they do have comedy there. Do you know of? Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's worldwide now.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who performs out there pretty frequently. He lives there, but he's like now he like works in radio as well. So he splits the difference. But I really don't. I mean, Italians are always laughing, and there's always like the most ridiculous like slapstick stuff happening. I really have never heard of an Italian comic or really heard one, so I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be like kind of, similar to like, any other comedy, kind of my wife, something like that.
So you speak fluent Italian then?
Yeah, very close to.
Was that your first language? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You have any brothers or sisters or family like
one
that?
brother. Yeah, one brother, 3 years younger.
And he's the same mom, same dad,
yep.
All that, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's not always the case.
No.
Not these days, yeah?
No, and I think that's a fair question to ask. Because a lot of times, like, people just either assume,
yeah,
but yeah, same parents. They kept that together, and yeah, I'm trying to think of. My grandmother lived with me until I was like 30.
Wow, what was she like?
Very cool, very cool. She was like 4'10", but her shadow was like 7 feet. He was like she was an imposing figure.
And she would cook for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
That was the, like eat. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, man. Like I spent like, I go back and forth with my weight constantly, but it started as a kid. it was always like if I wasn't overweight, there was something wrong with me, like that kind of mentality.
Yeah. Why aren't you eating?
Yeah. Why aren't you eating? Why don't you? You should have problems later on in life.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for doing this podcast, because we actually got a show to catch. You're going to be on stage in about 40 minutes from now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get out of here. But thank you so much,
Nigel. Thank you, buddy.
You know, from the bottom of everything, it's great that you're here in episode 2, and it'll be up shortly. And if you want to tell anybody if they could follow you or however, you know, I figured that's a fair enough thing to do.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You can follow me on the social medias at not Sandro. I'm sorry, wait, I screwed that up. Sandro, not Sandra. That's how much I don't even know my own name. So Sandro, not Sandra, or Sandro, not Sandra. So I split them both.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Awesome.
Dude, Nigel, thank you, buddy.
Sweet.
High Desert Podcast.